I think the day he was born and passed, I turned to my husband and I said, we are going to face this head on. We're not going to run away from this. We're not going to hide this. We're going to talk about this. We're going to feel this. And we were committed to that, to grieving hard and loudly and to inviting people into our journey.
Welcome to The Rainbow Connection. This podcast was designed for mothers who are finding their way through life after loss. Whether you're grieving, trying to conceive again, newly pregnant, or holding hope in your heart for what's to come, this space is for you. Each week you'll hear real and tender stories of love, heartbreak, healing, and the babies who continue to shape us. I'm your host, Kristen Mundy, a mother, doula, and a woman who's walked this path too. May these conversations remind you that you are not alone, that your baby is never forgotten, and that hope and grief can live here together. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to tell you about Mother Like No Other, a special community for women who are navigating the tender season of life after loss. Inside Mother Like No Other, you'll find a warm, supportive space of moms who truly get it, plus practical tools to help you through the hard days. You'll have access to a private online community where you can connect with me, an experienced doula, and other moms navigating the same journey. Each month, we gather for live workshops to connect and learn, covering topics like supporting your fertility journey, grounding strategies, self-advocacy, and ways to nurture your mind, body, and soul. We also bring in guest speakers to share their expertise and inspiration. The best part? It's only $22 a month. No long-term commitment, just real support when you need it most. If you're ready to feel more grounded, connected, and held through this season, come join us at thedoulalife.ca/mother. You do not have to go through this journey alone. And by joining us inside Mother Like No Other, you won't have to. Today's episode is one for my mamas in waiting. It's a conversation that I think has been needed on the Rainbow Connection podcast, not just for my listeners, but for myself as well. I learned a lot from this conversation. It's really beautiful. It shares a different way of looking at grief and this time in waiting, and I took so much away from it, and I know that you will too, especially if you have ever found yourself in a season of waiting as well, whether that be waiting for healing, waiting for answers, or simply waiting for the courage to open your heart again. My guest today is Tallia Deljou. She is a life coach, a writer, and a lost mom who gives us a glimpse into her motherhood journey and shares a story of her son who was born at 22 weeks and the deeply human unraveling that followed. Together we talk about rebuilding trust in your body after loss, honoring your limits with compassion, and learning to see waiting as something sacred instead of something empty or time wasted. Tallia also gives us a glimpse into what comes next for her family, including beginning IVF and stepping into the early stages of her surrogacy journey. Talking to Tallia really felt like a breath of fresh air. And even though we are talking about something that can be so painful, she also challenges us to think about things with a different perspective and asks us questions that I think we all have needed to sit back and reflect on. This conversation gives us an invitation to slow down, to breathe, and reminds us that we do not have to rush our way through our grief. And even in the unknown, life is still unfolding. Okay, now enough from me. Let's hear from Tallia. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Rainbow Connection. Today, I have the beautiful guest, Tallia, here with me. Hi, Tallia. Thanks so much for being here.
Absolutely, Kristen. Thank you for having me.
Tallia is going to share about her journey today. She's going to share about her son, and she's going to share about where she's currently at right now with actually pursuing surrogacy. And I think it's going to be a really valuable conversation. And I'm really grateful to have Tallia here to give us that deep insight into something so many of us don't really know much about. So
Yeah.
before we do that, though, Talia, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit more about you?
Yeah. So thank you again for having me. And I know I mentioned this a moment ago, but just for creating a space for these stories to be told and shared. And there's so much power in that. So I appreciate it. So I am from Atlanta, Georgia. I was born and raised here, traveled a good bit throughout my life for school, got my master's degree in positive psychology 10 years ago. And fast forward to today, we've had quite the journey to parenthood. And I'm happy to share all of what that's looked like. I never thought, no one ever expects it to look the way it does. We are we're in our fifth year, actually, now of trying to build our family, and have had multiple losses along the way. And we are in a place now where we are ready to move forward and have a lot of clarity around what that means for us, what that looks like for us, what feels right for us. It took us a while to get to this place. It felt really important for us to honor our grief and give it space and time and not rush through that. My background professionally has a really interesting overlap with this world because I do have a coaching practice and I do teach a lot about emotional health. And so it almost felt like this chapter of my life to put everything I teach into practice in my own life and to really embody what it means to feel everything and to give everything space and time without rushing it, and to honor the wisdom in the grief and in the pain and in the rage without shoving it away or wishing it were gone or needing it to be smaller or different. So I'm sure we'll get into all of that in one way or another throughout our conversation, but I'm really excited to reflect on my journey with you, and I know you carry so much wisdom in this space yourself as a mother, and I'm excited to see what comes of the conversation.
Me too. Well, why don't we dig in? You can start
Yeah.
wherever you want to start.
Sure. Yeah. So I'll start at the beginning.
Let's start at the beginning.
I'll start at the beginning. So we decided we were ready to start trying for a family back in 2021. My husband and I got married in 2019, right before the pandemic, and we've known each other our whole lives. And so we have an interesting story of, how we went from being friends our whole lives to deciding we wanted to do life together. And so we got pregnant in 2021, and I miscarried around 11 weeks. And the interesting thing with all of the pregnancies that followed, including this first one, was that there was always fear in me. Always fear. There was always a fear. And I think I go back and forth between calling it fear and calling it intuition. I'm not sure. But it was really scary in the beginning. I just had this feeling that something was wrong. And with every ultrasound and scan we had, the baby was measuring small. And so there was never really a moment of confidence. Not that I think there really ever is in a pregnancy, but it was kind of like, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Come back next week. Come back next week. So there was a lot of waiting. And I feel like that's really the theme of my whole journey, is a lot of waiting and being in this kind of liminal space. But anyways, first pregnancy ended at around 11 weeks, and we took a little bit of time to just kind of process and be with that, and got pregnant again a few months later and miscarried at 6 weeks. And so much of what I find to be common in the stories I've heard and women I've spoken to is that, at that point, the doctors just kind of tell you it is what it is, and this is common and it happens, and statistically it's likely and nothing's wrong, and just keep trying. And after
that's one of the annoying parts too, is that in a lot of places, a lot of doctors won't do any investigation and won't even peek an eyebrow until you have had 3 losses. And it's like, you want me to go through this 3 times before you're going to
pay attention.
Be interested? Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Right. It's the whole definition of insanity. It's like doing the same thing doing the same thing, expecting a different outcome. That's how I felt.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's also another through line in my journey of my relationship to spirituality and how after that second miscarriage, I definitely went into a bit of a, what if this isn't meant for me? What does this mean? I think we have a tendency to make meaning of things and
Sure.
try to understand to give us some sense of control. And so for a while, it took me down a path of questioning, is this what I really want? And is this trying to tell me something? And I remember about 6 months after I miscarried this for the second time, I was doing a lot of just sitting in meditation and kind of like opening myself up to see what else wanted to come. And I had this kind of vision of going back to school and getting my PhD. And I thought, you know what, this is what the universe wants. This is the plan for me. And so I applied to a program and I was like, you know what, I'm doing it right. Like this is the right next step. And the day I got into the PhD program was the day I found out I was pregnant with my third.
Oh, wow. That's a big day.
Which was a huge day. And I gave it so much meaning, right? Like it was in that moment, I was like, this is the one. I've done it right. This is my reward. Like it was just interesting looking back at the story I gave to all of it, and so it did feel very, like the third time around, I was very convinced that like it was going to be different. And this is why I miscarried the 2 times before. Like it was just my way of, like I said, making sense of it all and trying to not be terrified the third time around. And everything looked good, felt great. And then it was at my 20-week anatomy scan where the tech was a little quiet, which we love.
Mm-hmm.
And, ultrasounds from the first pregnancy were always really nerve-wracking and really just anxiety-inducing and really difficult. And so we went in for the anatomy scan and she said, we're not quite getting a view of the heart that we want, so we're going to ask you to come back in 2 weeks. But everything else looks fine. Don't worry. Like they were very reassuring, didn't give me any real reason to be concerned, but it was still the like, wait another 2 weeks and then come back. Wait another, like it was that still like, okay, I still can't take a breath, like I never felt like I could take a breath. And so 2 weeks later, it was actually 2 days before the follow-up anatomy scan that I ended up in the hospital because, and this, I won't get too into the weeds of this, but long story short, at that follow-up anatomy scan, they confirmed 2 things. One was that our son had what's called a congenital diaphragmatic hernia, which was essentially pushing his heart over to the side and impeding lung development and could have caused a lot of issues down the road. The second thing that they detected in that scan was what's called cervical insufficiency or cervical incompetence. So within 3 seconds of being in that ultrasound, the tech said, you're going straight to labor and delivery. You could be having your baby tomorrow. You could be having your baby in 4 months. We don't know when this baby is coming, but plan to be at the hospital until the baby's here. And I was 20, at that point, 22 weeks on the dot.
And at this point, are you just like, what happened when she told you that?
I went out of my body, like fully out of my body, shaking, and just kind of disbelief, shock, but at the same time, kind of like, yeah, this is why I never let myself get excited, because it's almost like I was prepared. It's like I was prepared for something to go wrong, and that's protective in nature. I think once you've had multiple losses, or for me, once it happened more than once, it's just, protective to not let yourself get too hopeful or too excited. And But it was mostly shock. And I mean, I don't think I spoke a word for like 2 days. And yeah, and they said to us, you could be here on bed rest for 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
And within 24 hours, with my family's help, we were moved into that hospital. I'm talking like we had Christmas lights strung up, we had rugs on the ground, like we were ready to stay. And I went into labor 2 days later. And it was fast. It was an emergency C-section, partly because our baby was transverse, and because he was so small that the chances of him surviving, through the vaginal canal was just the safest option. And at that point, we knew that there was really no chance of him living. And he did for 15 hours. They had him up in the NICU for 15 hours. And I think that was a critical time for my husband to be with him and to father him and, to just be with him. And he passed away, 15 hours later. And that was December 14th, 2023.
Were you able to be with him at all?
I
Because you would be
briefly.
you were recovering from a major abdominal surgery.
Yeah. I went up twice to the NICU to see him. And that was a very interesting experience for me. And I still feel like I've got to revisit some of those moments because they were very dissociated. I was very numb, still in shock. And I didn't have, and this is, just a personal kind of sense for me or feeling for me. I think once I knew he was coming and would likely not stay, I felt like he left his body as well. And so, and I got signs from him right before we even went into the C-section. I started getting signs from him. And so I didn't really feel connection to his body. I don't know if that was partly, psychologically kind of rejecting the body as a form of protection too. It's complicated.
It's so complicated.
So complicated. And he, I couldn't hold him. He was on full life support, on full oxygen. I mean, so I can't really look back at those moments and say much about them. I mean, it just kind of felt like a bit of a twilight zone, and shock is really what that period of time was for me.
Well, you're probably still sitting on that ultrasound table, having that ultrasound tech say, "Oh, we need to send we need to send you upstairs." It's like, okay, I haven't even processed that.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, that moment definitely froze in time for a long time. And it, a part of that was also the way they told us and the way they delivered the information. That in itself was quite traumatizing for us. The lack of, I mean, like, no one even looked us in the eyes to tell us, right? It was like, we're looking at a screen. Okay, here's what we're seeing. You're going to have to go now. Like, it was kind of wild. It was kind of wild.
Yeah. What did life look like? I mean, after that, how did you guys, what did life look like for you and your husband?
Yeah. So, I mean, I remember, I think the day he was born and passed, I turned to my husband and I said, we are going to face this head on. We're not going to run away from this. We're not going to hide this. We're going to talk about this. We're going to feel this. And we were committed to that, to grieving hard and loudly, and to inviting people into our journey. And we did that very early on, kind of much earlier than we anticipated, sharing what had happened. And I had just announced the pregnancy 2 weeks before. I waited till I was 5 months to even share with people because of fear. And so life after that for us was brutal. I mean, it was messy. It was dark. It was, we let grief, we like handed ourselves over, I think, a little bit to it in a way that was important for us to do. I think everyone's journey looks a little differently, of course, but for us, it was just jump right into the deep end and we'll figure this out, but we need each other.
Yeah.
We need each other.
What did jumping in look like for you guys? Like how did that grief kind of express itself for you?
Yeah. I mean, so many different ways, I think. A lot of it in the beginning was rage, was just, this is infuriating. This is actually, I'd say betrayal. I felt betrayal more than anything else.
From who?
Because it's a great question. From the universe. I think for a while there was some anger towards my child for leaving me. There was some anger towards myself for the story I told myself about it, because I think it made the fall feel that much harder, which, like, who's to say? But I think, yeah, there was a part of me that was like, you just really got this wrong. You know, you really got this wrong. So there was a lot of like rebuilding trust in myself after that. And
which parts did you think you got wrong? Just the part of being a little bit hopeful?
Yeah, the part, I think what I can look back on and say I got wrong, or I'll say it this way now. The part that I can look back on that's now different for me.
Okay.
Is my understanding of like how the world works. I know it's kind of a very broad statement, but I think there was definitely this kind of subconscious belief that good things happen to good people, right? And if I keep doing things right, and if I keep doing good things, and if I keep healing, and if I keep like, there was a lot of my journey leading up to that was deeply focused on generational healing and healing my family and healing my lineage. And it was just kind of like, okay, I'm here, I'm answering the call, I'm doing the work. I hope to be rewarded. Like, that was the mentality. And that's changed for me a lot.
Yeah, well, loss really makes you, it forces you to kind of face those internalized beliefs, like have a bigger picture of how you view the world, because you're dealing with the most human experience possible, death, right? And grief. And you can't really run from it. And that makes you start thinking about, why do bad things happen, and where do we go, and like,
who's in charge here?
Yeah, like, I didn't sign up for this. It really does make you kind of, and it sucks because sometimes we don't have this, like, what better time do we not have the space to like face those things? But it's raw and it is big. It really does force you to like, you're dealing with this. We're going to deal with every internalized belief that you have right now.
On top of the loss and the grief, here's everything you've ever believed to be true, turned on its head, and now you must re-examine and reevaluate and reconfigure and reorient and
figure out who you are now. Like, no big deal.
No, right? No big deal.
Yeah.
Here are all the things that, and then all the relationships you've got to figure out how to navigate, and all the,
it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
So tell me more about that kind of unraveling for you guys, and what, I know you said that you faced things head on and it made you question a lot. Tell me more about like what that looked like.
Yeah. I mean, when I say it made me question a lot, I remember coming home one day and just coming to this conclusion that every decision I've made up until now has been wrong. Like I came home and I was like, I mean, transparently, I was like, I married the wrong guy. I'm in the wrong house. I'm in the wrong city. I've had like, that was my only way of making sense of things. And I think we'll find any answer. I felt like I needed to have an answer because not having an answer was like, that uncertainty is so uncomfortable. And so I tried to fill in the blank with whatever I could, right? And a part of that is, again, giving us some sense of control, right? Oh, well, then if I can marry the right guy and be in the right place and do back to like, do the right things, then maybe I can control the outcome next time. And so that was a part of the unraveling. And my husband, stayed steady throughout it all and just allowed my process to be my process and just kind of held me and continues to hold me. And I do the same for him. It was a lot of turning towards each other intentionally. It was a lot of allowing our rage and our anger and our whatever was coming up to be expressed without any judgment. I mean, talk about like safe place and safe person. It was our superpower for sure.
It can be really easy to turn on each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, we navigated a lot of close friends and family being, pregnant shortly after. And that was really hard. That was really hard for us. And, we did grief counseling. We did EMDR to help process those moments kind of frozen in time. And I also, knowing my world of work, I taught a lot throughout that year as well. Like almost in real time, I was teaching as I was going through things, which helped me a lot. But I also think a lot of the feedback I've gotten from our people and even online is like, thank you for just like showing us what this is like. Not once you're on the other side of it, because is there really another side of it? But as you're going through it. And a part of that was also like, no, we need you to know what this is like so you can show up for us in the way that we need you to.
Because sometimes when you get through it, that rawness, like kind of, you never forget, but it's not as like front. It's not up there as front. And it's definitely like when you're going through it, that's when you can like speak from like the pits of your soul,
Yes. Yeah. Unfiltered, true, honest. No, there's no mask. Like there was no mask on any of it for us. And we didn't have the energy to mask it, and there was a part of me that was kind of like, no, you being kind of like the general you and the public and our family and our friends and, people on Instagram, like it was almost kind of like, I dare you to have the courage to meet me in this and watch this happen and hear me in my pain and learn with me and be with me. And we're going to do this and you're going to do this with us. It's kind of like that.
Like you're not ignoring this because I'm not letting you. Right?
Exactly.
While we take a quick break, I wanted to introduce you to The Haven, my signature 12-week support program for mothers who are pregnant again after miscarriage, TFMR, stillbirth, or infant loss. This isn't just a course. It's a trauma-informed community program that includes weekly live workshops, expert guest speakers, and ongoing support from me, an experienced doula and fellow lost mom, anytime you need it. You'll also receive one-on-one check-ins, guided journaling prompts, full access to my birth course, Reclaim, and a warm, intimate community of other pal mothers, a place where you can be real, be held, and be reminded that you are not alone in this. Our winter cohort begins this January, and the waitlist is now open. You can find all the details at thedoulalife.ca/haven. In the Haven, your baby is remembered, your voice is honored, and you are fully supported every step of the way. So what did that look like for you, just the people in your life? Were they able to sit with you in this? Were they able to witness you and support you? Or it's hard because I think another part of like that grief is that secondary grief too. And one huge one is relationships, because you find out a lot of people
Don't
can't
have the
handle
capacity.
this. Yeah, they can't handle this. And it's like not even, and this is like advanced grief and learning, talking, but a lot of people, it's honestly, some of them, it's not even their fault, because it's like you just don't have the skills. Like for me to ask you to show up the way I need you is actually an impossibility, because you are actually incapable. And it's very sad. It doesn't make it not sad, and it doesn't make it not okay. But that's one thing I've come to realize, is just people can be actually incapable. That's
I mean, where do we learn this though, right? Where do we learn to be with each other in our pain? I mean, this is my work, like the origin of my work is inner child wounds, right? Inner child wounds being those moments we were not met in our overwhelm, and all we experienced was disconnection, when what we needed was someone to just be and hold and witness and acknowledge and not turn away and not put a smile on and not talk you out of it and not throw logic into it and not make meaning of it, right? Like, this just hurts, and that's okay.
And I just need you to sit in it with me. You don't need to fix it. Just sit with me. Yeah. So were people able to do that with you?
Some. And I believe that at the end of the day, the only person that will truly ever know and understand the depths of this is me. And then my husband.
But even him, he doesn't even get it the way that, because you're your own person, right? And you're the mom. You're the mom.
Yeah. And so I've had to make that the most important, right? How am I being with myself? How am I holding space for my anger and rage? How am I bearing witness to whatever is here right now in this moment? And then there was a lot of advocating and a lot of, instructing people, like, here's what I need, and here's how it looks, and here's how it sounds. And and I do find that a lot of people, like, that's just it's more work, right? It's more work to teach people and to tell people, but also expecting them to know, I think, that's harder.
Because they're gonna, like you said, they're never gonna know. Yeah. So it's not gonna be the way that you want them to, and that's gonna ultimately end up being hurtful. So it's like, it's almost being able to set those boundaries and expectations is protective. It's a lot of work, and it's unfair, because it's the one time where you're like, I really just wish people could show up and take care of me, and I'm already exhausted by this grief, and now I'm having to educate them. But in a way, it can be really protective.
Yeah. And I'd rather it come from me than them try to figure, like, yes, there's a part of me that's like, I wish they could just fucking figure this shit out. Like, go read a book, go listen to a podcast, like, build the skills, do the things.
Be a better human. Come on.
Just do better, and please just delight me. Just delight me today. And I didn't have really, it's like I almost, protectively didn't want to give people the chance to get it wrong. So here's what it is. And to me, that's setting them up for success. That's setting me up for success. I can say, realistically, just because I offered people the step-by-step doesn't mean they did it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the truth is that it actually made people even more scared
Because they're like, this
because
is real. Like, there's real need here.
this is real. And also, I think my intention is to help you. But I think what ended up happening is for some people, they took it as here's the right way. And if I mess it up after she's told me exactly what she needs, then that's almost worse. Like it almost made them more scared to get it wrong because they now knew what it looked like to get it right. I don't know. It felt kind of like contradictory in a way. Because I thought I was making it easy, but I think for some people they were like, "Oh, if I mess this up,"
Yeah, or maybe some of them are like, this is too vulnerable for me. This is like I said, like that, I am incapable. So if you were like, I need you to, just for example, I need you to ask me about this.
Yeah.
And they're like, I can't do that. Like,
Yes.
that is too vulnerable. That is too close. It's much easier for me to be like, to make myself comfortable and just give that toxic positivity, for example, or show up the way that I'm used to showing up because that's my safe place.
Yeah.
And it's a challenge.
It's a challenge. It's incredibly confronting. I mean, I
that's the perfect
and
word.
I think
confronting.
Yeah, super confronting. Like I'm asking, and I've realized this. I've softened around this quite a bit because there was a large part of me that was like, you will do this. You can do this. Let me hold your hand, and you're strong. You're let me show you what you're capable of. And then I think if I'm asking people to confront my pain and my grief when they haven't even learned how to confront their own, it's not safe. Like I think it's not even safe for them to open themselves up to me, because if they do that, then there's a lot within them that they may not be in the space to confront for themselves, right? So who am I to dictate someone's readiness? And I can say that now. I think for a good year, it was hard to have that kind of perspective and grace for people because I was in so much pain and I didn't care. Like, I don't care what you're going. I need to know that I need to know that this matters to you too. I need to know that you were touched by this too. I need to know that you care enough to know what this is like for me. I need to, right? Like there was a lot of that.
How did that soften? How did that change?
I think I just reached a point where it was hurting me to keep holding expectations of other people. Like it was just creating more disappointment and more resentment and more distance and more loneliness. And I just didn't want that anymore. And I also recognized too that while it would be nice to get it from everyone, I don't need it from everyone. I need it from my husband. I need it from my sister, somewhat from my parents, and maybe like 2 or 3 of my closest friends. Like if I didn't get it from them, that would be a different conversation. But I have what I need. I'm getting it from the people that matter most. And I think that distinction, or that almost like categorizing of people, right? It's like the need to have, nice to have, surprise to have, like the random people who are like,
they get
coming
it.
out of who get it. And I'm like, oh, we're not even that close, but suddenly you're the one sending gifts once a week and sending texts, and like wouldn't have even thought to put you in my circle of people. And suddenly they're the ones who are showing the capacity I'm looking for. Right. So I think that's what changed for me. I also think once we got through the depths of our pain and were able to start envisioning a future, that helped as well. And starting to rebuild, right? I think for a long time, what was hard was feeling like we were stuck and frozen in time while everybody else was moving forward. and wanting to almost like pull, like, no, stay here with us. We're still here. Please don't go, right? Don't leave us in this alone.
Mm-hmm.
And once we, yeah, started having conversations about what was next and what we were ready for and what that would look like, that helped as well.
What did those conversations look like?
Yeah.
What were the next steps for you guys?
Yeah. Yeah. I think an important phase of it was back to like the questioning of what does this mean? And do we want to have a family? Do we still want to have a family? Do we want to consider what it would look like to not have? I mean, we really kind of went back to the drawing board a little bit. And I knew it was actually right before they took me in for the C-section. The doctor was walking me through some of the risks associated with the type of C-section.
Did you get a classical? Okay.
And so he kind of walked me through, once we're in there, like we don't know what's going to happen and this could affect future pregnancies. And I looked him dead in the eyes and I said, I am never doing this ever again. And, I think a lot of people, once I shared that with them, they were like, oh, just give it time. You'll feel differently. Of course you said that you were in the heat of the moment. And I have been unwavering in that since that. Like, that has not changed for me. And it's not fear. It's wisdom. It's intuition. It's a hard no in my body. I wish it weren't. It just is. I've reached my limit. I know my boundaries. Physically, it would be really high risk with cervical incompetence and with a handful of other things. It's just me getting pregnant again was not on the table.
Well, when you know. And I always say that I find that there's like two ways that we respond after loss. It's either I need to do this right again, right away, or it's I'm not doing this. Like, it's one or the other, right? I don't find that it's often in that in between. I feel like you kind of just know.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting because I feel like 99, if not actually 100% of the people I've spoken to were in the other camp of the first question I asked the doctor was when I could get pregnant again. And I was so far from that. And so I knew that going into our year of grief, which was 2024. And for a while, adoption was more front and center because surrogacy did end up involving my body still, and IVF and shots and procedures. And that felt, I had not healed enough from the physical trauma to even be willing to consider anyone touching my body, or like being in an ultrasound or doing anything that involved, my body. And so for a while it was that, but I also knew that I needed a year. I knew that for whatever reason, the timeline I gave was exactly a year to date. I'm not going to make any decisions about what's next. So I did not rush that decision-making process. We talked a little bit about adoption in the beginning and then just kind of put it to rest until the end of the year. And it kind of just became, I think throughout the year, a lot of certainty started to build for me around myself, around my life, around my marriage, around all the things I doubted at the beginning of the whole journey. It was like, no, this is my person and this is my life. And actually this is what I want. And I think that was the biggest, I don't even know what the word is, but I think to get to a place where I felt like what I want also matters. And I can decide and I can choose what I want. And I don't just have to like take these losses as, well, this is what wants to happen. And I guess I have no say in, in what my life looks like. A big part of my healing was taking back some agency and some sense of control over what I can control, and it's not wrong to want, and it's not, yeah, like I have a say in what my life looks like too. And that took a long time for me to get to. And I remember too, before my third pregnancy, thinking that, if it doesn't work out, who am I to force, right? Like I thought about even surrogacy at that point. I was like, that's just forcing something that God doesn't want to happen for me. And I don't even know if I believe in God, but that's kind of where I was with it all. And on the, on the year end mark of grief, I was like, wow, what an interesting way to look at things. And I'm going to go after what I want. I want a baby. I want a family. And I want it to be mine biologically. And there's no judgment around that. And it's okay to want that. It's okay to want that.
It's totally okay to want that. Everyone has like their different level of what they want. For some people, it's this that's really important. And for some people, it's really this that's important. And like whatever is important to you is totally justified and valid. And I really liked that you said, I do have some agency over this, because one of the biggest things that, I talked about to my clients is like focus on the controllables. There's some controllables that we will grip onto with all our might, and that's what gets our focus. But letting those go is it gives you so much space, and being able to focus on the controllables gives you so much agency, because there actually is a lot of things that you can control.
I think the other piece that comes up is, I hear you reflect that back, is I think a part of it felt selfish. And this is like deeper stuff for me, right? Like selfish to want just for myself. And I do think in the beginning, adoption felt more front and center, because not only did it not involve my body, which felt safer, but it was also doing something good for somebody else. Like it felt like being of service in some way. And an element of like it making me a good person. And I still think it's a beautiful thing to do. And it's absolutely on the table for us still.
Adoption it always seems like that, better, morally good option. But when you start really digging into the weeds about what it means, you find out really quick if that's something you are comfortable with, because not everybody is. And it really puts it into perspective very quickly.
For sure. For sure. So I got to a place after the year where I had the clarity, and and my husband, from the beginning, he was very sure about surrogacy. And so he just, again, honored my time and my process and kind of waited for me to get there. And so we decided to move forward with doing an egg retrieval and going through the process of IVF with getting embryos made. And we signed on with a surrogacy agency back in January of this year. So a year to date. I mean, it really wasn't interesting. Like I knew I just needed the year to get ready and be ready to take that next step. And I'm grateful that I honored that, and that we allowed our process to be what it was. And we signed on with the agency in January. The wait time to get matched with a gestational carrier is, with our agency and with most, 12 to 18 months to just find someone through the agency. And so that was more waiting, right? Like here I am 4 years in. I'm now being told I have to wait another year and a half to find someone, and then 6 months for them to go through legal and this and that and transfers, and then another 9 months. Like I was like, we're talking 2027, people. Like and it was about 2 weeks after we signed on with the agency that an old colleague of mine actually reached out and said, hey, I've really been thinking about doing this. Do you want to have a conversation? And so we, connected, and we sent her through our agency to go through screening. And about 4 months in, ended up not working out and got kind of a rejection or a denial from our doctor for certain medical reasons. And then about 3 weeks ago, we, again, like agency and control, don't want to wait for 18 months to find someone through an agency. And
I don't think many people do. So that's totally,
yeah.
I just want to validate that for you.
Yeah. Right. No one wants to.
No.
And we were like, you know what, we've got a network, we've got people, we've got, let's post, let's tell people we're looking. And so we made up kind of a public post about it 3 weeks ago. And it just, people were so gracious and sharing and sending and reposting, and ended up having about 15 people reach out within like 48 hours who were interested.
Wow.
In doing this, or at least having a conversation about it. 3 of them ended up being kind of active and following up and serious about considering it. And actually, the first person who reached out is the person who is now going through screening with the agency. So, so we're closer than we've ever been. She's incredible, has a beautiful family, 2 kids, and it just feels really aligned. We'll see what happens. But it does feel like we've allowed ourselves, I'm in the nursery right now. We allowed ourselves to buy a crib 2 weeks ago and just, move forward.
I was wondering if you were in the nursery. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's so prophetic and special that you're recording in there.
Yeah. It's a special space.
Well, I'm going to be on pins and needles waiting
I
to
know.
hear and sending all my energy for the perfect scenario. And if you I will gladly share your post if you still want it to be shared.
I appreciate that.
I know that, gosh, today is a lot of conversations about waiting. There's a lot of waiting involved. And I know that with surrogacy and with fertility and with adoption, a huge theme is waiting. It really is a lot of waiting. Yeah. How are you, supporting yourself in the wait?
Yeah. I love this question. And I feel like there's a book in me about this. Because whether it's this or something else, everyone's got a season of waiting for something in their life, And I remember reading a quote years ago about how, the thing you want, to let it find you living and not waiting. And how I'm supporting myself in the waiting is doing things like this, building the nursery and allowing, I actually wrote about this today on Instagram, giving hope a place to live again. That's a piece of it. Another part of it is writing. I really love to write. A big part of my healing last year through the early stages of my grief was through poetry. It was really the only way and channel where I felt some sense of connection to our son. And this is a question I'm sitting with a lot. How in the next year, how do I want to spend the next year of my life while we wait? We've still got quite a road ahead of us. And I don't know really what the answer is. I don't know if this is the time to write a book. This is the time to pursue my PhD. I've always wanted to do that. I told you about getting in when I got pregnant, and then obviously I deferred, and then everything happened. And so that's kind of still on the table. I don't know. I don't know what this year holds, but it's something I'm sitting with and wanting to be intentional about, because whether I'm carrying or someone else is carrying, it's a weight regardless, And so I had someone the other day talk about this season of waiting for me as it's kind of like gestation.
It totally is. What
gets to be birthed through you? And in this year. So I don't know yet. To be determined.
Even when you're not actively either trying to conceive, you're not actively pregnant, you are still preparing yourself for this baby. So even though it might feel like waiting, you're still in it. Like you're still preparing your heart. You can prepare your home if that feels good and safe. You're not actively trying to conceive, but you are, right? You're still preparing a place for that baby.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, well, it's not the same. It's not the same. And it's not. But for some, it can feel a little bit comforting. We're still on that trajectory of bringing this baby home, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I would really love to hear how it looks like, or how honoring your baby looks like in your life now.
Yeah. Talking about him, you know, I saw one of the clips that you had shared recently, like encouraging, I don't remember her name, but encouraging her to see that, you know, just sharing her baby's story was her honoring him, and how she's been changed through her baby is honoring him. And so I do feel, I feel like the way I've let myself be changed by this is, that's him, you know? I struggle a lot with my connection to him, or with like my idea of what that connection should look like or feel like. But it's completely transformed. I mean, the healing spaces I hold for my clients have just, the healing that happens, and the safety, and the, like, in those spaces, I am such a mother, you know, to my clients, whether they're 25 or 65 years old. I think I honor him and mother him through this group I've started called Mothers Rising, which is a space for moms in waiting. It's just a group. We meet once a month. We share a win and we share a worry, and that's it. But the community I've cultivated there feels like a womb, kind of.
I love that.
I know you've got the Haven, and I know that probably feels the same for you in a way.
Yeah, and we have a waiting mama group too, and a lot of powerful things happen in those spaces.
Yeah.
Well, you have a huge mother energy. Like you can feel it instantly. You just, being in your presence, you feel cared for just by the way that your energy is and how you speak and how you present yourself. And it's really beautiful.
Thank you.
We're going to be on pins and needles, waiting to hear and watch your journey. I am just so appreciative of you coming on here and sharing your gifts and your insight, because it really is a beautiful insight, and it's an insight that gets lost a lot in the lost mom community. And I think it's really important. And I think that there are a lot of moms that are going to listen to this and just feel so seen and so heard and held. And permission to feel differently about things, and permission to have a different path and have a different story.
Yeah.
I think it's really important. I'm just so thankful to be talking to you today.
Likewise. Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed today's episode and want to connect more, Instagram is where I hang out most, so come join me in a beautiful community of lost moms for pregnancy after loss education, real-life grief talk, and deep solidarity. You can find me at the.doula.life and at the Rainbow Connection Podcast. And remember, you are never alone. I'll see you in the next episode.